Most people use these two words like they mean the same thing. I am saving for my future. I am investing in my future. Same sentence, same intention, completely different outcomes. Because saving and investing are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. And the confusion between them, the belief that putting money in a savings account is the same as building wealth, is quietly keeping millions of people financially stuck. Today we are going to end that confusion permanently. We are going to look at exactly what saving is, exactly what investing is, where each one belongs in your financial life, and most importantly, what happens to people who only ever save and never invest. The numbers at the end of this video are going to make you uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the point. Let's start with definitions. Real ones, not dictionary definitions, practical ones that actually mean something for your daily financial life. Saving is the act of putting money aside and keeping it safe. When you save, your primary goal is protection. You want that money to be there when you need it. You are not trying to grow it dramatically. You are not willing to risk losing any of it. You want it accessible, stable, and guaranteed. A savings account at a bank is the classic savings tool. You put money in. The bank pays you a small interest rate. Your money is safe. It is insured. You can access it any time. That is saving. Investing is fundamentally different. When you invest, your primary goal is growth. You are putting money into something, stocks, mutual funds, real estate, a business, with the expectation that it will grow significantly over time. And here is the critical part. To get that growth, you accept risk. Not reckless, random risk. Calculated, managed, long-term risk. The possibility that in the short term your investment might lose value. In exchange for accepting that risk, you get access to returns that a savings account can never offer. That is investing. Same action on the surface, money leaving your hand and going somewhere else. Completely different destination, completely different purpose, completely different outcome. Now let's look at what each one actually does to your money over time, because this is where most people get the shock of their lives. Let's take 100,000 rupees, 1 lakh. And let's see what happens to it over 20 years in each scenario. Scenario 1. You put it in a savings account earning 4% per year. After 20 years, your 1 lakh has grown to approximately 2,19,000 rupees. More than double. Sounds decent, right? But wait, over those same 20 years, inflation has been running at roughly 6 to 7% annually in Pakistan. Which means the prices of everything, food, rent, medicine, education, have more than tripled. Your money doubled. But the cost of living tripled. Your 1 lakh in purchasing power is actually worth less at the end of 20 years than it was at the beginning. You saved perfectly. You lost anyway. This is the silent theft of inflation. And it operates on every rupee sitting in a savings account, every single day, without ever sending you a notification. Scenario 2. You invest that same 1 lakh in a diversified equity mutual fund, earning an average of 12% per year, a realistic long-term return for Pakistani equity funds historically. After 20 years, your 1 lakh has grown to approximately 9,60,000 rupees, nearly 10 times your original amount. From the same 1 lakh, the difference between Scenario 1 and Scenario 2 after 20 years is over 7 lakh rupees. 7 lakh rupees generated not by working harder, not by earning more, not by being smarter, simply by choosing the right destination for money you were already setting aside. Now, someone watching this is already forming an objection. What about the risk? What if the investment loses money? And this is a completely fair question. one that deserves a completely honest answer. Yes, investments go down. Equity markets have bad years. Mutual fund values drop. If you had invested in January 2008 and checked your portfolio in December 2008, you would have seen significant losses. If you had invested right before any major market correction, the short-term picture would have been painful. This is real. This is not something to brush aside. But here is what the data shows over long periods. In Pakistan, the key 100 index, despite crashes, political instability, currency crises, and every kind of turbulence, has delivered average annual returns of over 12% over the last 25 years. Not every year. Some years deeply negative. Some years spectacularly positive. But averaged out over the long term, 12% plus. Every major market crash in history has eventually recovered and gone on to new highs. Every single one. The risk of investing is not that you lose money forever. The risk is that you panic during a downturn and sell before the recovery. Stay invested. Stay patient. The long term belongs to the investor. So if investing is so clearly superior for growing wealth, why do most people keep the majority of their money in savings accounts? There are 3 reasons, and all 3 are worth understanding. Reason 1. Familiarity and comfort. A savings account feels safe because you can see the number and it never goes down. Even if inflation is destroying the purchasing power of that number, the number itself stays stable or grows slightly. Investments fluctuate. Seeing your portfolio drop 20% feels like losing money even when it is a temporary paper loss that will recover. The emotional experience of a savings account is calm. The emotional experience of investing is sometimes terrifying, and humans are wired to prefer the calm option even when the terrifying option produces far better outcomes. Reason 2. Short-term thinking. Saving is for short-term goals. Investing is for long-term goals. Most people think primarily in the short term, this month, this year, maybe the next 2 or 3 years. Over short time horizons, saving is genuinely the right choice. You should not invest money you will need in the next 1 to 3 years. Investments need time to absorb volatility and deliver their full returns. The problem is that most people apply short-term thinking to money that is actually earmarked for a long-term goal, like retirement, and end up saving when they should be investing. Reason 3. They were never taught the difference. Nobody sat them down and explained that saving and investing are 2 different tools for 2 different jobs. They saw their parents use savings accounts. They heard advice about saving for the future. And they assumed that saving was the responsible, complete financial strategy. It is not. Saving is one tool. Investing is another. A complete financial life uses both for different purposes at the same time. So let's talk about how to actually use both tools correctly. Because the answer is not to stop saving and put everything into investments. That would be a different kind of mistake. The right approach is to understand what each tool is for and use it accordingly. Savings is for your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of living expenses kept in a savings account that you can access immediately if something goes wrong. Job loss. Medical emergency. Urgent repair. This money needs to be safe and accessible. Savings account is exactly right for this purpose. Do not invest your emergency fund. This is the one place where safety matters more than growth. Savings is also for short-term goals. Planning to buy a car in 2 years? Getting married in 18 months? Saving for a home down payment in 3 years? Keep this money in a savings account or a short-term fixed deposit. You cannot afford the volatility of investments for money you need in the near future. Everything beyond that, money you genuinely do not need for at least 5 years. Money earmarked for retirement, money you are setting aside for long-term wealth building, that money should be invested, not sitting in a savings account slowly losing its battle against inflation. Invested. In equity mutual funds, index funds, stocks or other growth assets appropriate for your risk tolerance and timeline. The simple framework is this: emergency fund plus short-term goals equals savings. Long-term wealth building equals investing, both happening simultaneously. Every month. For decades, let me paint you two pictures of the same person living two different financial lives, because sometimes a story lands harder than a calculation. Picture 1. Usman earns 40,000 rupees a month. He is responsible. He saves 10,000 every month without fail. He keeps it all in his bank savings account because it feels safe. He does this for 30 years. He contributes 36 lakh rupees of his own money over 3 decades. At 4% annual return, his savings account gives him roughly 58 lakh rupees at the end, a reasonable sum. But in 30 years with inflation, 58 lakh rupees will buy significantly less than it does today. Usman retires with a cushion, but not freedom. Picture 2. Amir earns the same 40,000 rupees a month. He also sets aside 10,000 every month. But he splits it, 3,000 into a savings account for his emergency fund and short-term needs, 7,000 into an equity mutual fund for long-term growth. He does this for 30 years. His savings account has a solid emergency cushion. His investment account, with 7,000 rupees a month compounding at 12% for 30 years, is worth approximately 2 crore 50 lakh rupees. From the same income, the same monthly discipline. The only difference was where the money went. 2 people. Same salary, same discipline, same 30 years. One retires comfortable. One retires free. The difference was not effort, it was knowledge. Saving is not enough. It never was. It was always a partial strategy presented as a complete one. The complete strategy is saving for protection and investing for growth, simultaneously, consistently, and for as long as possible. You now know the difference. The question is what you do with that knowledge. Open an investment account this week. Start with whatever you can. Even 3,000 rupees a month, invested consistently over decades, will change your financial life in ways a savings account simply cannot. Subscribe to Money Habits, because this is exactly what we are here for, breaking down the financial concepts that everyone assumes they understand, but almost nobody actually does. Like this video if it changed how you think about your savings account. And drop a comment right now, honestly, how much of your money is sitting in a savings account that should probably be invested? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.